Hi, good evening, and welcome to Back to School Night for the dual credit classes for dual credit U.S. History and dual credit Government. My name is Mr. Baker, Philip Baker, Coach Baker, Professor Baker. It doesn't matter to me, but I am the the instructor for these two courses, and we're gonna have the same video here because a lot of the information between the two is very similar. So this is the first year that these two classes have been offered face-to-face at George Ranch, meaning a George Ranch teacher, myself, is actually also the Lone Star or college professor. All right. So the first thing that we need to go over is FERPA, which is the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act that was passed by Congress in the 1970s. And it's a little bit different because FERPA essentially applies to 18-year-olds or people that are enrolled in post-secondary education. Okay, so your student now, even if they're, I guess theoretically I could have a 15-year-old junior in dual U.S. history, for legal reasons, for legal purposes, they're classified as an 18-year-old now, which severely limits your access as a parent. So as far as the college class goes, meaning the actual like Lone Star History 1301 or Government 2305, you don't have much access to that. Okay? Now, what ends up happening as a result, we don't utilize Canvas for the dual credit classes. We utilize what's called D2L or Desire to Learn. We'll go over that briefly, but there is a Canvas course for these. So your student will see in the Canvas course a link to D2L because that's where they're going to actually complete their work. But I will also put the college syllabus on there. And so you as a parent, since you have access to Canvas, you will also have access to the college syllabus. And I can legally get around that with FERPA because there's actually a different act, a different state provision that dictates that all college syllabi be accessible online. So any college class, you could actually search and find the records or the syllabi for any individual college class. And so one of the things that you'll notice is things like grading are a little bit different. As far as the high school class goes, there's basically two grade books. I can only discuss with you the high school aspect of it, which means that our discussions are very limited. Now, I will be regularly pulling grades out of D2L and putting them into Skyward, so you'll be able to at least monitor your students' progress as it pertains to the high school grade book. But again, the high school grade book and the college grade book are not one and the same, and you'll have no access to actual content. Okay, so again, the high school LMS or learning management system is called Canvas. We're not really going to use Canvas. So again, your syllabus will be there and the link to D2L because that is how Lone Star College operates. D2L or Desire to Learn is Lone Star's LMS or learning management system. Everything that the student does, everything will be done through D2L. So because these are what we call singleton courses, meaning that there's one class period for History 1301 and one class period for Government 2305, I will have both face-to-face students and virtual students assigned to the same class period in order to try to make things equitable and make things actually functionable or capable of functioning, however I'm supposed to say that. What I've done is essentially everybody this semester, and I might be able to switch it in January, but this semester, everyone will run what I've created is essentially an online class. That doesn't mean that you were wrong if you chose face-to-face. The only real difference is if the students that are face-to-face, if they have questions, they can ask me face-to-face. Virtual students will need to email me, but they'll have similar access. That's really the only difference is in terms of sort of access to me. As far as D2L works for you, you'll have no access as a parent. So you don't have access to the grade book, you won't have access to the content, you won't have access to the assignments, nothing like that. And again, that grade book will be different for the college class than what it is for the high school class. So there's actually the possibility that you could end up with like a B in the high school class and a C in the college class, or believe it or not, vice versa. There's actually ways in which you could theoretically do better in the college class than you did in the high school class. So for the high school side, LCISD grading policy is still in effect, meaning I have to have 3 major grades and 6 minor grades each 6-week grading period. So for the high school side, there are going to be 2 exams and 1 paper for every grading period. The exams will require a lockdown browser, and Lone Star College has tutorials on how to download that lockdown browser for D2L in order to be able to take that exam. The minor grades are going to be reading quizzes. So for government, for instance, there's three chapters per unit or per test. For the U.S. history class, there is 2 or 3. In addition, minor grades, the government class will have discussion boards, and the U.S. history class has what I refer to as short response papers, where they're looking at additional stimuli, meaning something outside of the textbook. As far as the college grade goes, the syllabus details the grading policy, and they're slightly different, but essentially there's 4 grading types plus a final exam, and that equals 100% of their grade. So there's no 6-week breakdown, there's no major minor. So in both classes, there are 6 multiple choice unit exams. So I think in government, for instance, those unit exams are worth 6% of your total grade. In U.S. history, they're worth 8% of your total grade individually. Every paper for both classes is worth 5% of your grade. Your quizzes are roughly 1% of your grade, et cetera, right? So that's the basic breakdown. And then it's important for you to understand that in Lone Star, as a result of this being an actual college level course, every student is required to take the final exam regardless of grade, absences, anything else. Okay, that is a requirement. And Lone Star College actually finishes a week earlier than LCISD does. So the week before LCISD's finals week, and I think for both classes, it's actually Friday, December 11th will be the date of the final exam. Textbooks, these are necessities. You can buy if you can find the textbook used, you can buy the textbook used. We've not used We the People here at George Ranch. So that is a new textbook to George Ranch. The last couple of semesters we've used a different government textbook that was actually an online free textbook. But I'm gonna be honest with you, you get what you pay for in life. It was not a great book. This is a far superior book and will be better for students. The second book here, the one that's in the middle, America, a Narrative History, this is a new edition. So this is the 11th edition. We actually use the brief edition, not the full edition. If you have a friend or neighbor or whoever that was in dual U.S. history last year, you could actually get away with using the 10th edition, right? Obviously, we're talking U.S. history, especially for the first semester or volume 1. There's not a lot of changes in terms of history editions, right? So you could use the 10th edition and you would be fine. With the U.S. history class, so for the LCISD side, U.S. history is a year-long course. For the Lone Star side, it's actually a semester-long course. So first semester is 1301, second semester is 1302. They're 2 different college classes. Basically, U.S. history is broken up at Reconstruction. If you're buying your textbook, you can either buy the full volume or the full text for the America, a Narrative History, or you can buy the 2 individual volumes, volume 1 and volume 2, that correspond to 1301 and 1302, and there's no difference in terms of which one is better. Volume 2 will even start on page like 700 and whatever which is the same page breakdown to the full text. So next semester, it won't matter if I tell the kids go to this page. Those page numbers will be the same so long as they're using the 11th edition. If they're using the 10th edition, we can work around that. We can figure that out, and it shouldn't be a problem. If you have any questions, you're welcome to contact me. My email address is pbaker@lcisd.org. I did not include it on this PowerPoint because, again, as a college level course and as a result of FERPA, there's very limited information that I can actually legally give you. I cannot discuss the college content. I cannot discuss the college grade with you. Those are things that I can only discuss with the student. That being said, obviously you're still their parent. You can have them pull D2L up at home and monitor their progress and their grade and all of that wonderful stuff. So if you have questions, please feel free to reach out and contact me. And if it's something I can help you with, I will be glad to do that. All right. Thank you. Have a good evening.